Hi there, my name is Sarah. I'm on the product team here at Gather. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create custom reports for your funeral home with our new feature, Gather Analytics, and how to share those reports with your team, both in Gather and externally. So the first step we're going to do is click this Analytics button, and this is going to open our Reports menu. We have this My Custom Reports column, and I'll click that Build New Report button. This opens up all of the available data sources, and you can read more about each individual data source on the screen. But we're going to use the invoice line items data source. What this is going to do is load a report with each line item that we've filtered through either statements or outside of statements, all of our cases within the selected time frame. So I'm going to name this Revenue Report, leave that description blank, and then I'll leave the date range as last 14 days. At the top here, you can see I have 2 funeral homes. That means this account that I'm logged into belongs within 2 different funeral homes in Gather. So I have this Your Funeral Home location and Diversity Family Funeral Home. I can click and unclick specific funeral homes to filter out this report to only include line items for those specific funeral homes that I have enabled. I can see right here I have 1 row per line item sold to all of my cases. So we have what was sold to Carrie Harris, what was sold to Timothy Greenwell, what was sold to Vanessa, and it's 1 row for each individual item that was sold. So I want to organize this report based on service type and the individual cases who had that service type. So I'm going to open this columns dropdown, and these are all of the available columns that are able to be added to the invoice line item reports. I'm going to search for case workflow, turn that one on, and then I'll scroll down to the case workflow column, group by case workflow. And now this is organizing all of the line items by service type. So I can see all of my cases that received the traditional burial and service type. These are all of the individual line items that were processed through that service type. Now I want to see this also organized by individual cases. So I'll start grouping by case name. And I can open this up and see these were the individual cases within the last 14 days who received this traditional burial and services workflow and are included on the invoice line items report. So I'll open that up and I can see all of the individual line items that were processed through this case inside the statement or outside the statement. In order to show up on this report, a case would have had to receive a line item. So if nothing has been sold to the case yet, or there's no line items added either inside the statement or outside the statement, a case won't show up on this report. I also want to filter this report to only include merchandise items, so I'm going to open that filter pop-up, select line item category, is any of, and I'm going to only include merchandise items. So I have caskets, flowers, memorial items, urns, and vaults. So now this filters down only line items that are merchandise related. So we have folders, register book, merchandise items. Now I want to see the total amount that was sold within each of these workflows and within each of these cases. So I'm going to scroll down to line item subtotal and then drag that over here to the front and then aggregate by sum. And now at a quick glance I can see traditional burial and services workflow had $19,225 sold within that workflow. Same for direct cremation, we have $3,955. And then if I open this up, I can see the individual value of each of these cases line items. So all of the line items that Salmon side received make up a total of $5,525. And of course that's only filtered down to only include merchandise. So now I will save this report, and now this report will be saved for me to come back to at any point. Whenever I come back to this report, it'll always include the last 14 days. So even if I come back a week from now, it'll include the last 14 days from that day that I'm looking at this report. Now, let's say I want to go ahead and share this report with my coworkers at my funeral homes. I'll click Share with Team, and now I have 2 options. Share it to funeral home locations and share it to individual team members. If I click this first button, you can see I have my 2 locations that I can select or deselect right here. Clicking one of these locations and sharing with that location will automatically share this report with all of the users inside of that funeral home. So if I go ahead and share this with Diversity Family Funeral Home, everyone that is in Gather within Diversity Family Funeral Home will get this report shared to them. I can also share this report to individual team members. So clicking this button brings up a list of all of the users in Gather that are within one of my 2 locations. So this list is not just including users in one location, it's including both. This list does not consider permission levels, because the permissions are actually determined on what the user themselves can see on their dashboard, and I will show an example of that in just a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and select Mandy Drew and save that assignment, share with Mandy Drew. Now over here I have Mandy Drew's dashboard. Clicking to open my menu, I can now see I have that revenue report shared to me by Mike. Now Mandy Drew actually doesn't have access to view the invoice line items data source in this funeral home right here, Diversity Family Funeral Home. Even though Mandy works within Diversity Family Funeral Home and does have Diversity Family Funeral Home on Gather, her admin in Diversity Family Funeral Home on Gather has determined that she should not have access to that data. So that financial data in Diversity Family Funeral Home is protected from her seeing it. But if I go over here and act as the admin at Diversity Family Funeral Home, I can go and select Mandy Drew, navigate to security, and turn on the invoice line items data source. And now acting as Mandy Drew, you can see I can go ahead and select Diversity Family Funeral Home. So now I can see data from both Diversity Family Funeral Home and the Your Funeral Home location. Another option for collaboration is sending the report. So if I go ahead and click the Send Report button, you'll see this pop-up comes up, Send Report via email. This allows you to send this report exported as a CSV to anyone's email. So I'll click Create New Send, and I now see these 2 locations listed up here at the top. What this is doing is filtering the data that's going to be included in the email. So this can be especially useful if myself as the boss, I work within these 2 different funeral homes, but I have unique employees at individual funeral homes. I might want to maintain this view of this report for myself when I come back and Gather and start my workday, and I want to look at this report every day, but I also want to have scheduled sends to only send to those employees that work within those specific funeral homes. So if I want to filter this down to only include data from Diversity Family Funeral Home, I can do so. I can also do the same with my other location. And I can also select a different date range. This can be valuable if you want to have this report include the data from the last year or the last quarter, so that when you're working in Gather, you can see all that data that you need to, but you want to have some sort of weekly roundup emailed to you, you can have it include only the last 7 days of data. So I will just select this location, and now I have 2 options for who is it going to. I can send to team, and I can send to email addresses. Send to team will open a list of all of the team members in Gather that have access to view this report. So these people that are disabled, myself as the funeral home admin at my location, I have determined that these people do not have access and should not be able to see the data in this report, so it is unable to be sent to them. But if I select someone, now sending to 1 team member. How often do I want it to be sent? I can either send it right now, send it daily, weekly, monthly, and this allows me to select quarters or on specific months if you want to do some daily reporting. But let's say I want to do Monday at 9 a.m. This lists all the upcoming send dates so you can be sure that you're selecting the right cadence, and save that recurring send. Now I can come back to this recurring send that I have scheduled, and I can edit it. If I, for some reason, want to send it at 10 a.m., I can go ahead and save that change. I can also send to individual emails. So if I want to send this to someone that doesn't have access to Gather, like an external accountant or a consultant, I can go ahead and type in that email address, and I can even schedule it to be sent on a recurring cadence as well. So I can have it sent weekly on Wednesday at 2 p.m. If you want to just go ahead and send a report right now, you can select individual team members or select an email address and click that Send Now button. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you get a good idea of how Gather Analytics can be used to create powerful reports in your funeral home and encourage collaboration through sharing and sending of reports.